We are recording right now.
We're here.
We're here.
We're here.
We're live.
Yeah.
We're not live. This is pre-recorded. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to Is It Better Than Paddington 2, the movie review show, where myself and a guest come together to talk about a movie and answer the ever-important question, is it better than Paddington 2? Today, I am joined by my dear friend. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Will. I'm a little sick right now, which is why I'm kind of losing my voice. But I have enough voice for talking about
This incredibly important film.
this incredibly important film. It shaped my life.
So normally, like the way that I get guests normally is like I will like think of a movie I want to talk about or think of a guest that I want to speak with, and I will reach out to that person and be like, hey, do you want to talk about this movie? Or hey, do you want to be on this show and pick a movie? Will messaged me the other day and demanded to do this. Like straight up was just like, I want to be on your podcast.
Look, the thing is, when you're talking about a movie as important as
As
can I say what it is?
yeah, of course. Bring us in.
The Muppets 2011 with Jason Segel and Amy Adams, one of the greatest movies of all time. But at first, I thought the idea of the podcast was we were going to debate which one is better.
Yeah.
So I almost wrote like pages of notes detailing like each thing, being like, okay, this is why it's better.
No, we're just going to talk about the Muppets and why we like it.
Okay, oh, sweet.
So, something even better. No hostility here.
No hostility.
On the Is It Better Than Paddington 2 couch.
We are pretty peaceful guys.
We're pacifists here at Is It Better Than Paddington 2.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, let's dive right in.
Oh, yeah.
So the Muppets 2011 is a sort of a reboot sequel to the Muppets franchise. It is a sequel to the original Muppets movie from the 70s.
Yeah.
But it is also like a bit of a reboot for the Muppets overall. It follows the story of this little puppet boy named Walter and his human biological brother,
Who is
Gary,
who's also his twin.
Yeah, they are twin
They
brothers.
are twin brothers.
Which we'll get into the implications of that later.
Yeah, I was just about to talk about that actually. So
let's
we'll talk about my theory that the Muppets are like a genetic disease. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, let's bring that in a little bit. But it follows the story of these two twin brothers that are basically trying to get the Muppets back together before an evil oil baron tears down their old studio and just drills for oil there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the real villain in this movie is capitalism.
Yeah. This movie is very anti-capitalism, I feel.
As the Muppets should be.
Although, not really, because they need to raise money. So
the hero and the villain is capitalism.
And the villain is capitalism.
It's capitalism versus self.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, when you originally saw this film, or just like the most recent time you saw this film, I'm assuming you watched this a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What were your like initial thoughts whenever you saw this?
So this is pretty crazy. I saw it in theaters with my mom.
I believe I also saw it in theaters
when it first came out, and
I would have been 9 years old.
I would have been what?
8, 7 or 8?
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
And oh my God, what a movie! My mom is an avid Muppets fan.
Good.
So
that's good.
I just got the Muppets loving genetics. I had an obsession with them till
you should have been born as a Muppet.
Till I think like 6th grade. I should have.
Yeah.
I should have. I mean, I have the movements and everything. Mm-hmm. But when I originally saw it, I already memorized the lines, or not the lines, but the music from it, because my mom and I, the you know, like albums usually come out like a week before the actual movie. So my mom and I would listen to the Muppets album.
That's
before
so cool.
we went there, so I remember all of it.
Muppets super fans, the Giessingers.
Literally,
that's awesome. I don't remember whenever I saw it in theaters. 2011 is a very long time ago.
It is
for me.
It's like that's like the only thing I vividly remember from 2011.
Yeah, that is 13 years ago. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh God.
I'm getting old.
Yeah.
But and I don't. I re-watched it maybe once or twice in this 13 years since yesterday. But I just gotta say, like, I'm also a huge Muppets guy, and man,
It's just like
just something about it.
yeah, just a phenomenal movie. It's actually insane because I've memorized almost all the lines for that movie.
Nice. But let's talk about the plot a little bit. So it starts off with this little intro of this little puppet boy, Walter, and his
Little
biological
Muppet boy.
He's not a Muppet yet.
That's that actually raises another good question, which I think we'll get to later.
Yeah.
What dictates a puppet and a Muppet?
Well, okay, so technically, the legal distinction between a puppet and a Muppet is that puppets are controlled by people, whereas like Kermit is a actual talking frog.
Yeah.
However, Muppet in universe is also like a title for this specific performing group. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, for the sake of simplicity in this discussion, that Walter is not yet a Muppet.
Okay.
He starts out as a puppet and then later will become a Muppet.
Also, yeah, no, but
Spoilers.
yeah. Spoilers. Sorry, we're going heavy spoilers in a movie that came
We go
out
heavy spoilers in all of these.
13 years ago.
Yeah, heavy spoilers if you were born yesterday.
yeah. If you've gotten like all memory of the Muppets erased.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually that raises another good question because in Man or Muppet, he sings about whether he's a man or a Muppet, but so does Jason Segel. So, is the distinction for anybody that's kind of like a puppet type of person?
It might be.
Is that yeah, and then with that, does that mean that is that like the equivalent of like a traveling performing group just calling themselves human?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like the Muppets is a brand. Like
Yeah.
that's another part of the plot is that the evil oil baron will not just acquire the Muppet Theater, but also the Muppet name. So it's like if you formed a band called the Humans and were able to copyright that name somehow.
Yeah, it's like the Fine Bros trying to copyright React
Yeah,
a
exactly.
few years ago, but it's insane. It's so messed up. I feel like.
Yeah, it's copywriting the word humans.
Yeah,
which is messed up.
Basically, the puppet version of humans.
Yeah, but for simplicity, let's call him a puppet until he later
Yes.
joins the Muppets.
Okay, yes, and then the little compilation. It has them as kids.
Growing up.
Walter is consistently not growing taller.
Yeah, like they're doing a thing where they like measure their height on the door frame and Gary keeps getting taller and Walter stays the same height the entire time, which does raise the question, was he born that height?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think that he was born. Okay, have you ever seen the show like Crash and Bernstein?
This episode is probably going to be more about the implications of the Muppets.
Yeah.
In a universe with humans, more
Yeah.
than it's going to be about the movie The Muppets.
Well-
but we will talk about the movie as well.
Well, actually, now that raises another kind of interesting point is Paddington is
He's a little talking bear.
yeah, but people are used to it.
Yeah, nobody questions that.
Yeah, along with the Muppets.
Yeah, but like this is something I was talking about with one of my friends last night while I was watching it. Like in a universe where Muppets can be born to and live alongside humans, what does that say about like the idea of being a Muppet? Is it like a genetic mutation
Yeah.
of some kind?
Were there like rights issues?
Yeah,
with the
was there like a
Muppets?
Muppets civil rights movement? Are there people that are like bigoted against Muppets? Are there Muppets that
Yeah.
are bigoted against people?
That honestly is true. I would like a Muppets movie that explores that.
Yeah, I think that in the third movie, they should expand on Muppet civil rights.
Yeah.
Because I need to know.
Well, because the oil baron like treats them like kind of pieces of garbage.
Yeah,
Like he treats what's his name, Thing?
Uncle Deadly.
Uncle Deadly, yes. He treats I was thinking of the Fantastic Four. But he treats Uncle Deadly pretty rude.
And the bear.
And the bear.
Whose name I
Maniacal
can't remember.
Laugh. Yeah.
Maniacal laugh.
Yeah. But I like how in the Muppets movie as well, everybody there's not really like the oil baron learns his ways. You
He
know?
does. He gets bonked really hard.
By Gonzo, who gets a bowling ball stuck in his arm.
Yeah.
He goes, I got it out.
But we'll get to
We're
that.
getting ahead of ourselves.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Way ahead of ourselves.
We started talking too much about the philosophical implication of the Muppets.
Yeah. Ben and I will have like 50 different conversations, but it'll
Yes,
lead
we
back. It'll lead back.
We
to
will
it.
talk about the movie eventually.
Yeah, but no.
So it shows this little compilation of Gary and Walter growing up in their town, in their small town.
Yeah.
In Nebraska, I think it was
Yes.
something like that.
I can't wait.
It looked like the map zooms in really quickly.
Yes.
So I can't tell if it's Kansas or Nebraska, but it's in the Midwest.
And it's a very small town.
It is
It's
very
like what, 2,000 people?
Yeah, it's a very small town called Small Town. And they have like a little musical number. All of the musical numbers happen in universe, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is very funny. It's not like a plot device to communicate something in song. It is they are breaking into song in real life.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally a scene once they reach the bus where
Yeah.
all the people go, "Thank God they're gone."
Yeah.
and they all collapse. So like, that raises another question.
Is this musical centered around this group of people? Are they the reason why this universe is a musical?
Or is it like, if someone starts singing, they like are like, "Oh God," it's like a little neural link, and they're like,
They're
"You
like physically compelled
must
to join in.
dance." Yeah,
It's the ensemble instinct.
yeah. But
So Gary has his girlfriend Mary. Gary played by Jason Segel. Mary played by Amy Adams.
yes.
And it is getting close to their 10th anniversary
Whoop.
soon.
Which would be now 24th.
They've been together for 24 years. Isn't that sweet,
Can we
guys?
believe that? Yeah, and she's
She's a teacher.
yeah,
Teaching
a car.
she's teaching school children how to fix like an
car.
engine piece.
Yeah.
She has a car in the classroom. She is underneath fixing it, and then she has one of her students like turn the key and start the ignition.
It's also
So it gives me the idea of like she's a teacher of practical skills,
yeah. Well, like the older I get, the more I think about that.
right?
Because when I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, she's just teaching how to like repair a car. Cool. I was like, that probably happens in
And then it doesn't.
yeah, and it doesn't, and I was upset that it never did. But no. So she.
Will
know,
was harmed by the unreality of the Muppets movie.
Yeah, the Muppets movie definitely set me up for something greater in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have been. You were born in the wrong universe.
I was. If I was in any universe, Muppets.
So, and then also like the kids are really bummed that it's about to be spring break because they love school, which is just like I want to live in this like harmonious
This
universe.
dream world, yeah.
I want to live in this dream world where the only thing you have to worry about is maniacal laughing oil barons.
Yeah, which I feel like the other thing that I think is really funny is so they take the bus, they leave, music number happens, they go to the Muppet
Yeah,
studio.
they take a bus from Nebraska to Los Angeles.
Yes, but no, we do. It's like a video game quick time or like a
Yeah, it's
video
a
game
load. It's like a
fast
loading
travel.
screen.
And they bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so this is the part that also I think is insane. Is they go to the old Muppets theater. It's in Los Angeles, like in a pretty crowded area. It shows that the Muppets are long gone. They're just
They've
like,
abandoned the place essentially.
yeah. It's like basically just like desolate, sad, and the tour guide's like, meh, 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 meh. But then Walter's like, I'm gonna go sneak into Kermit's old office room.
King.
That's what they call it, Kermit's old office room.
The Kermit's old office room.
Yeah. So
And so Walter sneaks into there.
Yeah.
But then somebody's coming in. It's Statler and Waldorf.
yeah.
The two angry old men Muppets and the oil baron whose name I'm not remembering right now.
Yeah, the evil oil baron.
We're gonna call him that
We'll
for the
just
whole
call it
episode.
Tex Richmond.
Tex Richmond.
Tex Richmond. That's what it is, which is a
That-
perfect name
It's a very like
for an evil oil
villainous
baron.
billionaire kind of name.
Yeah.
There's Tex Richmond, Statler and Waldorf, Uncle Deadly, and the Bear Muppet all come in.
The bear Muppet that looks like a bear.
He's just a bear.
Like Fozzie, you can he has.
Yeah, Fozzie is distinctly non-bear-like.
Which raises another question, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Oh,
But no, so
whoopsie.
Walter, he overhears and he's like, "Oh, they're selling the Muppet Studio. Okay, that's cool." But
Then he overhears Tex Richmond
And
talking
he's-
to his henchman, Uncle Deadly and
and
the
he
bear.
goes, "There's oil in these grounds. I can smell it." And this is the thing that made me question. Like once I was older, I was like, "Wait, what?" Is that he decides to do an oil field in the middle of Los Angeles?
Yeah. It's very. That's his plan. His plan is to tear down the Muppet Studio and drill for oil in the middle of Los Angeles.
Yeah. In a
but-
busy area.
But basically, like, the thing is, like, Statler and Waldorf give him this contract that contains the deed to Muppet Studios, in which, if the Muppet, for some reason, there is a clause in the contract that if the Muppets manage to raise the money to buy the studio before the contract expires, then they will
Win back their studio.
They will acquire legal ownership again.
Yeah. Which,
Doesn't make any sense. Why would you put that in a contract?
but that's what I love. I love that because Jason Segel helped produce it as well. And I love that they just decided to be like, okay, this is obviously going to be like the most cliche.
This
like-
movie is very self-aware.
Yes, it's really self-aware.
There are
And
multiple times when characters will reference the fact that they are in a movie.
It's
There's a line, I can't remember the specific circumstance in which it happens, but Amy Adams says this is going to be a really short movie.
yes. It's the part where
It's whenever they meet Kermit.
Yes.
Later.
and Walter runs out, and it's like this cam that follows him.
Oh, I love that
And-
shot.
Yeah, and he's like screaming in the car. They're getting food and everything.
Screaming in the bus.
And then they
screaming
finally
everywhere.
Then they finally decide they're like, we're gonna go find Kermit. So they go to his house. It's like wired up.
Yeah, it's all fenced in. They decide that they're going to break into Kermit's house, and Gary tosses Walter directly into an electric fence,
And-
to which Walter says, "Throw me again." But then Kermit shows up.
Yeah,
The
with like
goat.
angelic choirs.
Yeah, there's literally, like, diegetically a church choir in a bus passing by. The headlights of the bus are backlighting Kermit in heavenly light. And then the bus drives away with the choir singing, and Kermit is in normal light again. And he's just like,
Hey,
looks like quite a fall you had there. And then Walter passes out because he's meeting his idol
yes, and then they go back into Kermit's house. They're like,
with his
hey.
butler 80s robot.
Hey, I love 80s robot.
80s robot is so funny. They tell Kermit what's going on, that the studio's going to get acquired and torn down.
And Kermit's
And
like,
Kermit at
what?
first
I
is
talked
just-
to Tex Richmond. He's
He's a super nice philanthropist guy. And then it goes into a little musical number where Kermit reminisces on the past.
pictures in my head,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. All the songs in this film are beautiful.
Yeah, I don't think there's one that's not a 10 out of 10.
So true. He at first is just like, guys, I haven't seen the Muppets in years. Like, we can't. There's no way we can do this. But then he does his little song, and he's just like, all right, well, we better get started then because we don't have much time.
Yeah.
So they go. They hop in his car. They go to
Reno.
that spells Reno. They go to Reno. 80s robot at the wheel, and they go to Reno to this little like shitty little comedy club that Fozzie is performing at with the Muppets, which are the evil, cynical Muppets.
Which, yeah, is there like Muppets discrimination?
I don't think so. I think that they are. I think that the reason why they are the Muppets is the brand name being copyrighted.
Yes.
Because later on, Tex Richmond is working with the Muppets, and he is going to, whenever he acquires the Muppet name, he's going to make them the Muppets.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So
I think that they're just like kind of shitty, down on their luck performers.
no. Yeah, for sure.
But Fozzie is stuck with them, singing a song that is
Why are there such great deals
yeah.
on our hotel rooms?
He's singing
Free parking for cars.
not RVs.
Not RVs.
He's
I
singing.
also like how one of the Muppets is a guy in an animal costume.
Yes.
It's just a dude.
Yeah.
Who's skinned an animal type of character.
That raises another question.
Another ethical question.
Is that like I don't think he's skinned an animal like character. I think he's wearing like an animal costume. But that raises the question, what are the ethics of that?
It's
Like,
kind of yeah.
is that like offensive?
Cultural
Is that like a
appropriation.
cultural appropriation of some kind?
I think it's like the equivalent of someone who's like white wearing like an Egyptian outfit
Yeah,
for
or like
Halloween.
wearing like a Native American
Yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
Like what is
Like I'm
How-
surprised the Muppets don't have a problem with it.
well, the Muppets are also like explicitly evil.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that they're down for whatever.
That's true. They're like, as long as we get money.
Yeah. It's just like I'm wondering about it from like the ethics of like Muppets living in a world alongside humans. To be fair, this is like clearly like a heaven society where all you have to worry about is stereotypical like billionaire villains.
Yeah, which
So
sounds
maybe
pretty
Muppet
nice.
maybe Muppet racism doesn't exist and we're reading too much into it.
Well, and also like, imagine just being like, going up to an oil baron and being like, "Yeah, oil's bad," and he's like, "Okay," and they throw a bowling ball at him, and he's like, "Oh, never mind, I've learned my ways." But we're
I wish
getting
we could
ahead
do
of
that in real
ourselves.
life.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of
We're
ourselves.
getting ahead of ourselves. So they
Fo-
find Fozzie, and Fozzie's just like, yeah, you know, I'm doing really well for myself here. And then
While he's in a alleyway, which is his,
his
dressing room.
his dressing
and you
room
hear,
is the
like,
alley
cops and
outside.
gunshots.
It starts raining, and they
Save
have to,
the
like,
cushions.
save the cushions. And he's just like, you know, I built a life here. Like these performers, they're like family to me. And what the Miss Piggy equivalent.
Fozzie, get your ass out here, basically.
Essentially, like, we're on in 30 seconds. And Fozzie's just like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And then they go and find Gonzo, who is a plumbing
Successful
magnate.
toilet plumbing guy.
Magnate.
Yeah.
He like sells toilets. He at some point mentions that he's trying to invent like a waterless toilet.
Which
Tell the waterless toilet department, I don't care about the mess, just get it done.
I like the idea though. Like, would it be like a little trap door and it would just go?
I think it'd just be an outhouse.
That's true.
The
honestly.
waterless toilet already exists. It's called a hole in the ground.
Gonzo, come on. But Gonzo then
He gives
commits
them 30 seconds.
he kind of commits terrorism on his own building.
Yeah,
he's like, I have self-destruct. Man, sorry about the voice cracks, but
he's at first like he gives them 30 seconds to explain themselves, in which Kermit is not able to because Fozzie keeps interrupting him.
Yeah.
About like tell him about the
Telling
oil
him
baron.
The oil baron.
The oil baron, Kermit. Don't forget.
I'm getting to that, Fozzie. I'm getting to that.
And so they don't have enough time, and then they just leave. But then Gonzo's just like, you know, actually, I do hate this. And so he reveals that he's been wearing his Gonzo the Great costume under his suit every day for the last like 30 years.
Yeah.
And then he blows up his
He
like toilet
commits
factory,
domestic terrorism.
which is very in character.
Which the question is like, how many people did not make it?
Yeah, how many people did Gonzo kill? Gonzo has a body count in this movie.
Oh, for sure.
There
yeah.
is no way that everybody made it out in time. Because like he pressed the button and it was like 3 seconds.
I think you could make an entire like hour-long thing listing all the different crimes that the Muppets committed throughout this movie.
The Muppets are menaces to society, but also they never face consequences,
Which is based.
which does imply that there are different laws for Muppets.
Yeah.
In which I think that the law is the Muppets are absolved from committing a crime if it is funny enough.
Well, because Tex Richmond got arrested at the end.
Yeah,
And
I think.
I think so. And they did not get arrested for kidnapping Jack Black. He actually got lifted up and became the homeless king, which is insane.
Yeah, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
They blow up the factory. Fozzie says that explosion looked expensive. Very funny. And then they need to get the rest of the Muppets. And so Fozzie's just like, or Kermit or Fozzie, I can't remember, is just like, you know what, let's do that in a montage.
Yeah.
So that we can save time.
And it's great because you get all the characters, you know, and it like kind of shows what
Actually,
they're doing.
they get Animal before the montage.
Oh yes,
They go and get Animal, who is taking anger management classes.
yes, Animal no longer plays the drums. It
Yeah.
triggers his PTSD.
Jack Black is his anger management sponsor, his
Yeah.
court mandated sponsor.
Yeah.
And
In control.
in control. And anytime he hears the word drum, he freaks out.
Yeah, he flips his lid.
But they manage to get Animal to escape. The anger management class goes completely south, and they all start beating each other up.
Yeah.
And Jack Black is just like, "Be free, Animal, but remember, no drumming." And so Animal is acquired. They go and do a montage where they acquire the rest. The rest of the Dr. Teeth band is like playing in a subway
And they just
station.
get kidnapped.
They get like the hook from off screen.
It's like the shepherd's hook from
Yeah.
Toy Story.
Yeah, it just comes from off screen and brings them off.
Yeah.
They get they get all the Muppets in the montage, and then they're all piled in the car together.
And then Kermit's like,
And Fozzie's is like, "I'm so glad we got all you guys, even the ones that weren't in the montage."
yeah.
Because there are some that weren't in the montage.
I love Ralph when he's like, I thought mine was pretty interesting.
And
they
he's just
go,
sleeping in a hammock.
And they go, hey, Ralph, you want to be in the Muppets? He goes, okay. And then he laughs and he goes, classic.
It's great. Sweetums is not in the car because he is currently chasing after the car.
Yes, just like the original.
Yeah.
Which was
there's a lot of references to the original Muppets film, which I love.
It's really, man, sorry, my voice again,
You're good.
losing
You're
it.
good.
It's really kind of like the counter 70s Muppets movie, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's them rebuilding the brand that they gained back in the 70s movie.
Yeah.
But they do it in a way that's kind of similar.
Yeah, it's very fun. And then they need
Miss
to
Piggy.
they need Miss Piggy though. Miss Piggy is the only one left, and she is currently working for Vogue with
In
her
Paris?
assistant played by Emily Blunt. And they were like, "How are we gonna get to Paris? We can't drive to Paris." And so they travel by map.
Yeah.
Just like in the original Muppets movie.
And
they pull the car like onto a beach out of the water because
And I
they
like-
drove to
I
Paris.
like that Jason Segel rolls down his window and goes,
Implying that he wasn't breathing the whole time.
yeah. Like, I'm sure all the Muppets were fine, but Jason
do
Segel and
Muppets
Amy
need to
Adams
breathe?
are, like, passed out, like,
Funny. That implies that Muppets don't need to breathe.
which is also interesting.
Truly. But they go to Vogue. They can't get a meeting with Miss Piggy. And then Fozzie's just like, "Guys, what if we do Muppet Man?"
Man.
And so they all get into a suit. They like stack on top of each other into a suit to form a human-sized person.
I have an appointment.
Muppet Man has an appointment.
Yeah.
And he goes into Miss Piggy's office.
And
And
Miss
she does
Piggy-
not recognize Muppet Man
And she does not.
until they fall over and all the Muppets fall out of the suit. And
Yeah.
then she's just like, "Oh, I can't believe I fell for Muppet Man."
She hits her head on the desk, yeah. And then she sees Kermit and she body slams him.
And starts making out with him. And then she's,
And then
just
she's
like,
like, wait,
no.
I'm a woman. I'm strong.
Yeah. Her and Kermit had a falling out in their relationship because I guess Miss Piggy wanted to get married, but Kermit didn't.
Yes.
It also says that Miss Piggy built the house that Kermit is currently living in, like built the mansion, which is a fun I'm assuming that's a Three Little Pigs reference of a pig being able to just build a house.
I like,
And Kermit's just like, "I've been taking care of that house for the past like 30 years. What the fuck?"
yeah, you could always come back.
Yeah. And she's just like, "No, I can't."
But yeah, so Kermit and Miss Piggy, you know,
Miss
they
Piggy
walk
tells
in
him no,
the
and
Paris
they're about to
streets.
leave.
Yeah, and Kermit has like a full ass like
He's got like
nice,
a turtleneck
yeah.
and a suit jacket. He looks good.
Kermit's drips in the Muppets universe is insane.
He every time Kermit wears clothes, he is dripped out.
Yeah.
And so Kermit is about to leave, but then Miss Piggy is just like, "No, they need me." And so she does end up joining the Muppets.
No, they get Miss Poogie first.
Yeah, they get Miss Poogie first, the evil Miss Piggy.
And then while they're cleaning up the Muppets theater, so they go back to LA, they find the Muppets theater, they open it up.
It's shitty.
They go, let's clean it by montage. They put on Rebuild the City.
We got to clean it to music.
They find Beauregard, the janitor,
He's in the janitor closet. He's just like, "Where's everybody been?"
and he's been trapped for 30 years.
My guy.
What has he been eating? Rats and rat shit, probably.
I assume. Maybe Muppets don't need to eat. Maybe they
But-
can eat. We know that they can eat because Walter eats chili dogs.
Yes, I was just about to say.
But maybe they don't have to eat. They just do it for pleasure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's the implication of Beauregard being in the janitor's closet for 30 years, is that
Yeah.
Muppets don't have to eat.
Scooter.
Where's everybody been?
Scooter, it's good to see you. Where's everybody been? But yeah,
and so
they do their little compilation.
of cleaning the studio, and then Miss Piggy rolls up and gets into a martial arts fight with Miss Poogie.
And beats Miss Poogie.
Beats her ass.
Destroys her.
And sends her away, and she's just like,
I'll be back.
She said that she cannot be replaced. Miss Piggy cannot be replaced. She is the goat for real.
Yeah.
And so they get the studio cleaned up. They're sleeping in the studio so they can do rehearsal tomorrow. But remember, this trip was for Gary and Amy's anniversary, and so Gary has agreed with Walter to help sew up some costumes, and Mary is like, well, I thought that we could go do some sightseeing or something. And Gary's like, Walter needs me. Get a head start on the sightseeing without me. I'm sorry. And so this is where we get Party of One.
Party of One.
Which is a song, is a duet between Mary and Miss Piggy.
Incredible. That's the first song I memorized for Muppets 2011.
Nice.
It's a me party. Party by myself.
Yeah, so it's just about Miss Piggy and Mary being like, I can have fun by myself. I don't need a fucking man.
I forgot this. There's talking fruit in Miss Piggy's dress room when she's singing. Talking food.
What does that imply?
Yes. What does it imply?
Them?
Well, also during the cleaning montage, Swedish Chef opens the fridge and there's moldy fruit and vegetables in there, and he kills them.
Wait, they're puppets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he uses a flamethrower and kills them all.
This further supports my theory that Muppets are absolved from crime if it is funny enough.
So, okay, we've added murder, kidnapping.
Alternatively,
Extortion.
the Fruit Muppets are okay to kill as long as they have become rotten and moldy, which implies eugenics, Muppet eugenics.
Well, they also were like, Chef, they're excited to see.
Yeah, they
Chef.
aren't evil or anything.
Yeah, they're not they're
moldy,
just
rotten food.
So we're bad.
This also implies that this entire time that Swedish Chef has been cooking with the Muppets, that he has been cooking sentient fruit.
Yes, and you said, Muppets don't need to eat, but why would they have Swedish Chef then?
I feel like they just eat for pleasure. I feel like they don't they physically, there is no physical need for them to eat. They do so though because who doesn't like to eat?
But doesn't that just mean humans also eat for pleasure?
Humans do eat for pleasure, but we do also need to eat.
That's true. That's true.
We cannot survive without food. We just make food taste good because we enjoy eating.
That's true.
We could, if we wanted to, subsist entirely off of nutrient pellets if we wanted to, but where's the fun in that?
This is a little sidetrack, but
this is a sidetrack.
During when the show Lab Rats, right?
Yes.
So in the first episode, they have all these pellets that are in their little pod, and when I was younger, I thought those were Crave cereal, and I was like, man, I wish I was the Lab Rats. Anyways, back to the
funny.
Back to
Muppets.
Back to the Muppets.
So
we'll do Lab Rats another day.
Is Lab Rats better than Paddington 2?
No.
Categorically no.
So, yeah.
They clean up the studio and
Me Party is happening.
Me Party happens, and then
and at Me Party, everybody's still eating their food. Not
Amy
listening
Adams.
to Amy Adams.
Mary is in a restaurant in public doing this musical number, which we have already established. The musical numbers are happening diegetically.
Yeah.
Within the universe of the film, which means that this is just a normal occurrence.
Yeah.
To everybody.
Yeah. And then,
but these people are noticeably not compelled by the ensemble instinct like the people in Small Town were.
Yes.
They do not participate in the song at all. They just sit there and go about their day while Mary has her little musical number.
Yes. And I forgot if this is before or after, but they have to go to all these, I think it's before Miss Piggy arrives, but they have to go to all these studio execs to pitch their live stream show. And all of them say no.
before, I believe. Yes.
Yes, all of them say no, but then Rashida Jones says, "Oh yeah, you can," and then
She only says yes because some other thing in their time slot got canceled.
yes, it
And
was
they needed to film
it was
at-
Punch Your Teacher.
Yeah, they would punch. This show called Punch Your Teacher was being sued by the teachers union, and so it got canceled, and they needed to fill an hour and a half time slot, and so they agreed to let the Muppets do their show.
My favorite thing is when they're watching that clip and they're punching the teacher and he goes, "I just wanted to teach you guys. I wanted to make you learn."
Yeah. Also, yes, this is also in a universe where kids like almost universally love school, which makes this show especially
Pretty
cruel.
morbid.
It makes this because it's just taking like a public servant who is doing an objective good and punching them in the face for no reason.
Yeah.
Also, the show being sued and canceled is announced by Donald Glover bursting into the
Yes.
office.
Oh, there's so many cameos.
There's
in this
so many
movie.
random celebrities.
Yeah. The little boy from Modern Family.
Yeah.
Manny.
The
Selena Gomez.
Selena Gomez appears later. Whoopi Goldberg.
Neil Patrick
Harris.
Which
John
Whoopi
Krasinski.
Goldberg was already in a Muppets movie.
She was.
She
Emily
played God, I think.
Yeah. Emily Blunt
Yeah.
is Miss Piggy's assistant.
Amy Adams, Jason Segel.
Obviously them. And then there's one more. Oh God, why can't
Jack Black.
Jack Black, of course.
Christian Scholl or Schill, the
yes,
girl who played
the voice of Louise in Bob's Burgers,
yes.
among many
and
other
Mabel
things.
in Gravity Falls.
Yeah, among many other things, she is like leading the anger management class. There's a bunch of these cameos, which was a thing in the original Muppets movie as well, where they would just have like a really well-known comedian or celebrity for like 5 minutes.
Yes. Oh, speaking of celebrities, so the one reason they're hosting or
they
they
agree
need a host.
They agree to have the Muppets
If they
air
get a
their
host.
program if they get a celebrity host.
Yes.
We'll more on that later.
So they, he.
So they clean up the studio. They're while they're cleaning up the studio, Kermit is trying to call a celebrity host. His first option is former U.S. President Jimmy Carter. And
Which
he
is
calls the number
pretty
and he's just like,
awesome.
"Oh, he moved? Well, do you have a number I can reach him at?"
Steve Martin was also one of them.
Steve Martin, who was in the original Muppets movie as a random waiter with
and also
tiny
in the
little
TV
shorts.
show.
Yes. He was one of the celebrity hosts of the Muppet Show.
Yes. And
They calls all sorts of people. I can't remember any other specific names.
yeah,
that were
those are
called
the
out.
only two I remember. Well, then he is like, "I'll host," and she's like, "You're not that popular." He's like, "I'll do it." And they're doing the rehearsal. Everything sucks because Animal can't drum.
Animal won't drum.
He uses the triangles.
Control.
In control. Yeah,
You do a really good animal.
Thank you.
Um,
Well, I'm losing my voice. I maybe shouldn't do it, but
it's fine.
Yeah.
So
I said I'm saving the rest of my voice for this.
the rehearsal's going really poorly. Like they can't keep time because they need drums, but Animal won't play drums. He's only playing a triangle.
Yes.
At some point,
sorry.
Kermit asks Walter to do a performance, and Walter freaks out because he doesn't think he has a talent.
Yes, which is another side plot.
Walter's little plot is finding out where he belongs.
So there's Walter's plot of finding out where he belongs. Gary and Mary just trying to
saving
make
their
it work.
relationship.
Kermit and Piggy reuniting.
The Muppets getting the studio back.
Animal. Did we already say Animal?
Animal with the drums.
Fuzzy Bear, fart shoes. I don't know. He didn't really have a side.
He
plot.
doesn't have a side plot, but he does have those fart shoes that he really wants to break
Yeah,
out.
and Gonzo getting a bowling ball out of his hand.
Yeah.
Well,
So all of this is going on.
Yeah.
Walter is frantically trying to find a talent. And
then
in Gary and Mary's hotel.
wait, no.
Wait, okay, what am I forgetting?
So Walter's trying to figure it out. He's playing the piano. He goes like da na na na.
Oh wait, hold on.
And
There's
then
one more thing.
What? Yes.
The hotel room scene is before that happens, but we'll get to that.
Yes.
Somebody comes up with the bright idea of like, why don't we just ask Tex Richmond to keep our studio?
Oh my God! I
so Kermit-
completely forgot about one of the other best songs.
Kermit goes to Tex Richmond, and he's gonna ask for the studio back, and Tex Richmond also breaks into song.
I'm Tex Richmond, Mr. Texas T.
Yeah, he
'Cause I
just
got
has
more money.
he has a villain song about how rich and famous he is.
Yes, and he has backup dancers that appear out of a closet and then go back in.
Yeah,
And they have,
implying
like-
that he always has them on hand.
And they have like they pull up like chips and stuff and start eating, and they look sick of him, and it's awesome. But
It's wonderful.
It's one of the-
It's a very short song, but it's such a good villain song. It's just so
really
like
great.
poppy and everything.
because I got more money,
Um,
I got
so-
more cheddar than Robert has De Niro's or something
Yeah.
like that.
So then there's this scene in Gary and Mary's hotel room.
And she's like,
And
I'm
she's
thinking
like,
of this.
what do you want to do for dinner tonight? And he's just like, oh, I don't care. Whatever's up to you. And she's obviously very upset by that because Gary has forgotten that it is their 10-year anniversary.
And also, like, this whole plan was just for the two of them.
Yeah, and
Now
Walter.
it's been Muppets influence.
Yeah, it's been hijacked by the Muppets.
And then she goes, I'm going sightseeing alone and going up alone. And he's like, huh. And then he goes back to Walter.
He goes to
and
see
he's,
Walter.
And he's ranting. And Walter's like, man, I got to figure out what my talent is. And he's like,
we
the
have
whole
time
reason-
for that. We need to go. I need your help right now, man.
Yeah. And Walter's like, the only reason we came here was to see the Muppets. And he goes, no, the only reason we came here is for the anniversary.
and then he realizes, and then he goes
And
back.
he goes back to the hotel with
and
some
she-
flowers.
And Mary has left a note explaining that she has left to go back to small town.
Yes.
And he needs to decide: is
Are
he a
you a
man,
man
or
or
is
a
he a
Muppet?
Muppet?
And this is where
This is where we get
the greatest song of all time.
before we get the greatest song of all time. The Muppets kidnap Jack Black.
that was after.
No, it's right before the song. It's right after she
Oh,
leaves
yes,
and
okay.
right before the song.
Yes.
It's just this brief little moment of all the Muppets except Kermit going and kidnapping Jack Black so they
Yes.
can have a celebrity
Because
host.
they all come up with the idea, but they don't tell Kermit because Kermit's like stressed.
Kermit would not let them do that.
Yes.
Because then they bring Jack Black to Kermit and they're like, Jack Black has agreed to host. And Kermit's like, oh, where is he? In the trunk.
You kidnapped Jack Black? I wouldn't say kidnapped.
Kermit, what's more illegal? Briefly inconveniencing Jack Black or destroying
Throwing
the
the
Muppet?
Muppets. Kidnapping Jack Black.
Fozzie.
Which, again,
Great.
we've already brought it up. The Muppets are
Absolved from crime if it is funny enough.
Yeah, if it is funny enough, they will not be arrested.
That or just
They could
nobody
kill
chooses.
someone
That or
in
just
this-
nobody chooses to press charges against Muppets.
Probably because they're afraid.
The Muppets are powerful.
They are. Like,
They can do anything.
Yeah.
So
man or
we,
Muppet.
we then get the best song in the film, Am I a Man or Am I a Muppet?
and this song,
It's Jason Segel as Gary and Walter ruminating on whether or not they are men or Muppet.
yes. and it's the craziest thing because
they are manly Muppets. They are a
Old
Muppet of a
Sh-
man.
and Old Sheldon plays
Old Sheldon.
Walter.
He's
Old Sheldon, plays
from
Walter
Big Bang Theory.
if he was a human.
Is
And-
Walter as a human, and then there is a Muppet version of Jason Segel.
And the Muppet version of Jason Segel looks like a classic, like 30s star.
Yeah.
It doesn't really look like Jason Segel.
doesn't look like Jason
It has
Segel at
like
all.
the sharpest features. You're like, man, I could cut diamonds on that chin.
Oh yeah, for real. And they have like this moment where it's like they have two pianos with Gary and his Muppet version and Walter and his human version on each
they're,
one,
like, white
playing
tuxedos,
together,
yeah.
and in pure white, and they're like playing together, and it's just this lovely emotional ballad. And Gary ends up deciding that he is a man, and he goes home to small town.
He's a Muppet of a man.
He's a Muppet of a man.
And Walter is a very manly
He's a
Muppet.
very manly Muppet.
And they go back, and he goes over to small town, and he's like, Mary, I'm sorry, Shoddy. And they hug, and they kiss, and they make up.
So we cut back to the Muppets.
And
The show's about to start.
yes. And
They have like an hour.
Yes. And the only people in the crowd
Are some hobos.
some homeless people's Hobo Joe.
Hobo Joe, played by Zach Galifianakis, and
His
then
best role.
the rest of the hobos are all Muppets.
Yes. Which is another crazy thing we could talk about.
Yeah, implying that homeless people are the homeless population is disproportionately Muppet.
Yes. Yes. And that's kind of messed up if you think about it. But anyways,
But they need to do this show.
the show.
The show's about to start, and like they're barely rehearsed. But then Kermit, my goat, locks in.
Yes.
And he's just like, all right,
Ladies and gentlemen.
you go there, you go here and do this, you go here and do this. We are doing a show tonight. And they get ready, and they lock in, and they fucking do it.
They
and you know, there
eat
is,
it up.
we forgot, there is two other people in that audience. Statler and Waldorf
Yes.
show up in their little box. They're playing both sides. They're on the side of the oil baron and on the side of the Muppets. They're playing both sides so that they always come out on top.
Yes. They're shills.
For real. Playing whichever side makes them the most money in the moment.
Yes, and they have all these celebrities doing the phone call to get more money. And Sam the Eagle.
Yeah, at first it's just like Muppets at the phones taking in calls to get donations. But then Selena Gomez is there, Whoopi Goldberg is there, John Krasinski is there.
Manny from Modern Family says,
Manny from
"Are
Modern
you the Teenage
Family.
Mutant Ninja Turtles?" to Kermit the Frog, and he goes, "Yes,
I
I
am."
am." But yeah, so the show isn't going good. Then all of a sudden, they do their barbershop Jack Black quartet.
Yeah,
and
Jack Black is tied to a chair for this whole thing.
And people are watching it, and they're like, "Whoa!"
Jack Black is tied to a chair for the entire thing, like screaming for help, and people think that it's a bit.
Yes, and they shrink his head.
They shrink his head. Fozzie tells jokes that aren't landing, but Jack Black is complaining about them, and people are laughing about that.
So yes, the thing that really piques people's interest is when Jack Black is complaining about Fozzie's comedy, and everybody's like, "Wow, that's hilarious!"
And people start
People
coming
start
into
flooding
the
in,
audience.
Donations appear at the top. You know, we're really triumphant.
We're making it.
And the evil oil baron, you know, he's like, the Muppets aren't gonna do anything. Like they're failing.
The evil oil baron, Tex Richmond, at first is just like, nobody's gonna watch that. But then he sees that stuff starts happening. He's like, well, we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
And so they cut the power.
Yes, but we're getting
But
ahead of ourselves.
no, we're not. We're not quite yet, because Gary and Mary,
Gary
who are
and-
watching from home,
Yes,
they see that Walter needs their help.
and they're in small town, which we've established
Is very
in
far.
the Midwest. But they get there
Because they travel by map.
is in a matter of minutes, and it's one of the greatest scenes ever.
And they fix the power from the
fix-
outside of the building.
They fix the power,
and then
and
so Walter is at first like being announced, but then he screams and runs out of the building and leaves a Walter-shaped hole in the door.
yes,
Because he is panicking. He doesn't know what his talent is. And then a little bit after that,
we've all been Walter before.
I believe this is when the power is cut. The power is cut after Walter runs, I believe.
Yes, it is.
And then Kermit and Piggy make up, and they get back together, and they do a duet of Rainbow Connection, and then all the other Muppets join in.
An animal gets his comeuppance. He drums.
One of the members of Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, I can't remember what his name is.
I saved these for you.
He opens up this little box that has Animal's drumsticks, and Animal is at first about to go crazy. Like he's got the angel and devil Animal on his shoulders saying drum, no drum, drum, no drum. And he goes insane and just punches both of them away. And he's just like in control, and he takes the sticks, and the guy's like, you know what to do. And he goes up there and he plays the fattest drum fills.
The gnarliest drum solo.
And it's all the Muppets coming together for Rainbow Connection. And like I started crying when I watched this last night.
I was gonna say Rainbow Connection is one of the songs that makes me tear up. It's so beautiful.
Like I love the Muppets so much. Like the Muppets are
Personal.
Like, they're a very big part of my life, I would say. And just like seeing like I was viewing this as if I was in this universe where the Muppets existed.
Yes.
And like I was seeing them come back together and sing Rainbow Connection all together, and I was just like so Tex Richmond is trying to cut the power again, but at the source, or like get rid of the satellite antenna or whatever, and he has Uncle Deadly come up there to help him, but Uncle Deadly, he's not cool with this anymore. And so he just goes.
And he goes, I am a Muppet.
Yeah, like deep in his heart, he is a Muppet. He might have a terrifying name and look scary, but he is a Muppet. And he throws Tex Richmond off the fucking roof.
Which we'll get to later, but Tex Richmond survives.
Tex Richmond does survive this. Uncle Deadly does not kill anybody. And then he maniacal laughs, and he goes, that's how you do. That's how you do a maniacal laugh.
And it's a real laugh.
Yeah, he actually laughs.
But then, they're like, we don't we're stuck. We
Yeah,
don't
they
have
did the
one
final-
last thing.
They need one last thing, and they don't know what to do. They only have 2 minutes to find a new act.
And-
Like, they don't have anything else planned. And then
and-
all of a sudden they go on air and they don't have anything. But then Walter is there. He got a pep
appears.
talk from Gary and Mary, and he appears and he does this beautiful whistling solo.
I used to be able to do it pretty
It's-
well, but since I'm sick right now, I can't replicate it.
It's wonderful.
It's beautiful. And Gary's like crying.
Gary's crying.
Yes.
Mary's crying. Kermit's crying. I'm crying.
Yes. And then they almost get to their goal, but the power goes out again.
No, it doesn't.
Or no, wait.
They what happens is like
they
they
have,
get a
like-
standing ovation and they're just a couple 100,000 short, and
I thought they were like
they're just like a little
$10 short or
No, wait,
something.
they're literally $1 short.
Yes, which is another funny thing because one of the Muppets could just donate $1.
Yeah, it implies that nobody here has $1.
Everybody is broke.
And so they don't have $1, and then it hits midnight, and Tex Richmond comes out on stage having survived, and he's just
And
like,
he's like,
I win.
Yeah.
And then
And Fozzie goes, "We're so close," and he hits the sign, and it goes to -4 million.
No, it's actually they didn't have 10 million. They didn't have almost $10 million. They had almost $10,000.
Oh yeah.
It looked like it was 999. It looked like it was 9,999,999. It was actually $9,999.99.
Which is that's so funny as well because it's like wow, like in my mind it's like
How did
wow.
they
so
mess
the
this
show
up?
so the show like it's shown as like so successful, but they only made this much money.
Yeah, and it's just, and Fozzie's just like, well, now I feel kind of better. We weren't even close at all. And so
And
the dude, Tex Richmond, kicks them out of the studio. And they're leaving.
walking out sad and-
Fozzie has his fart shoes on for some reason,
And
Kermit's
Kermit-
just like, not now, Fozzie. And then
Oh, and Gonzo still has the bowling ball.
Gonzo still has the bowling ball stuck in his hand.
And then they're on the stairs, and Kermit's like, "We put on a good show. We tried."
And
He's
that's
like,
what
"Let's just
matters."
walk out there, and let's really show them that we tried it." And they walk out, and there's a
there's
horde of people.
The entire street
It is insane. There's also a
flooded
Cars
with
2
Muppets
sign.
fan. There is a Cars 2 sign also.
Disney promoting their movies.
It is, it implies that Cars 2 exists in this universe, which maybe that means it's not as perfect as we thought.
Yeah, pretty flawed.
For real. They
But-
live in a flawed timeline.
but yeah.
the whole street is flooded with Muppets fans.
It's all
And it shows that, like, the Muppets, like, were popular the whole time. They just weren't doing anything.
yeah.
Because, like, they were told before that, like, they weren't popular. Like, there was, like, a chart that showed, like, in this circle is everything that's popular now. And then, like, 5 circles away in a small speck is the Muppets. But
Yeah.
that wasn't true.
No,
They were
it was a
popular the
lie.
whole time.
They just gave up.
And
Also, it's kind of funny because it's such a big crowd that like you look in the overhead shot and it's like nobody could get through there, which means why weren't they donating?
literally.
They could have made their mark if all these people would
If
have
all
donated.
of these people donated $1,
But yeah, so they walk out
and everybody's,
Jack Black gets kidnapped by the homeless people.
it happens.
And 'cause
Gary
it's-
proposes.
Yes, Gary proposes to
and
Mary.
Mary's response is
Phenomena.
Do, do,
And then
do.
Phenomena starts playing, and then we
As the
find
credits
out.
theme.
Yes, and then we find out Tex Richmond
Gets
got hit
bonked.
with the bowling
Yeah.
ball, which means he probably got so fucked up that
He
that
just gives them the
that
studio
he
back.
gives them the studio back.
And
Yeah,
it says in a news article that Tex Richmond gives them the studio back and that it had nothing to do with a head injury.
yes, which is just
Very funny.
amazing. And then Kermit and Piggy are dating now,
They are back together.
and
Walter's a Muppet now.
Walter's a Muppet now, and also Piggy is like she's like a Kardashian. She wants the paparazzi on her. She wants people to see her with Kermit.
Yeah. Like, they say that they're going to be, like, taking some time alone out of the spotlight, and then immediately Piggy's just like, let's show how well we're doing to, like, the top 10 news publications.
Yeah.
And opens the door, and there's a
And-
bunch of paparazzi out there.
And just more Phenomena with all the celebrity cameos.
All the celebrity cameos are doing Phenomena.
And then we end.
So, like, Muppets, God, I love the Muppets.
I love them.
They warm my heart so much.
And I
It's-
wish I wish there were more Muppets thing because I feel like they're still pretty popular.
Yeah, they are absolutely still pretty popular. Disney just won't do anything with them.
Yeah.
Like Disney,
If
you
Disney
own the Muppets.
if Disney listens to this, please, I will make.
Disney, if you are listening, I will pay so much money for more Muppets content.
Yeah,
Like, I'm begging.
I will. I will steal Walt Disney's head until you make.
I will steal Walt Disney's frozen brain until you make
some
more
banger
Muppets
Muppet
content.
stuff. Yeah.
So the movie ends and it wraps up nice in a little bow. The Muppets are back, baby.
Yeah, and then we get Muppets Most Wanted, which
Is great.
is pretty good. Yeah. And
But we're not here to talk about Muppets Most Wanted.
No, we're here to talk about
We are, in
Muppets
fact,
2011.
Now here to rate Muppets 2011. So here, is it better than Paddington 2? We operate on a rating scale based on Paddington 2's overall rating across the internet, which on average is 4 out of 5 stars. So, I already know your answer. But if you had to give the Muppets 2011 a rating out of 5 stars, what would you give it and why?
A 5.
And why?
Okay, so I think what makes the Muppets 2011 so good is they know what it's supposed to be. It's not trying to be anything serious. It's kind of a legacy thing, and like I said, it's like an anti-sequel to the original, where it's them getting everything back, whereas the original is them like getting stuff started. And all the most of the characters get really good plot lines, and it all pays off. And the comedy is incredible. It still makes me laugh. I find details in that movie that I completely forgot about that I'm like, wow, this is so clever. And once you get older, it's even funnier, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I also just like, this is also just like, I guess like a childhood bias because I grew up with that movie,
Real.
but it is just like one of my favorite movies of all time. It is so good. It trumps a lot of movies that are kind of like this, and I like that it kind of like it parodies like movies that are like, hey, we got to get the band back together.
Right.
So I just think it's really clever, really great. If you haven't seen it, please go
Please.
see it.
Please watch the Muppets.
Please
we
watch the
need
Muppets.
more Muppet.
We
We
need
need
more-
more Muppet enjoyers.
We need more Muppet fans.
Personally, thinking I put a lot of thought into this because obviously my initial thought is absolutely 5 stars. However, I think I have to ignore my own personal biases towards the Muppets. Like everything Muppets is 5 stars for me, no matter what. But I do think that I feel like I'm gonna have to give this 4 out of 5 stars.
So the same as Paddington.
So my reasoning for this is this movie is fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh yeah.
It is a delight. If you are a Muppets fan, you will love this movie. If you are not a Muppets fan, you will still probably love this movie just because it's such like a journey to go on and experience.
It makes you happy.
It's a very feel-good movie.
Yeah.
I do think that there are some things, some of the like self-referential "this is a movie" jokes don't really land for me personally. So not all of them, but some of them.
Okay.
It's just like it's self-aware to a fault. Like it's what people think. It at times in its self-referential humor is what the internet thinks Deadpool is.
See, actually, I was just about to bring that up because I feel like they did kind of the fourth wall break before it was like as popular as it is now.
Yeah.
And I think that does add an issue because a lot of things now are like, oh,
a lot of
we're
things,
making fun of it. This is stupid and dumb.
Yeah.
And
so
like,
I think this is like the best example of breaking the fourth wall.
Yes.
However, breaking the fourth wall has become a bit of a tired trope recently.
It's very
which
stale.
I think makes some of the humor in this movie fall a little flatter for me personally.
Okay, I understand.
Because of how much like fourth wall breaking is overused nowadays, it has made some of that not age very well, in my opinion. However, like my personal rating, if I wasn't doing this, if I wasn't ignoring my biases toward this movie, it is 5 stars.
yes.
But I am going to give it officially 4 stars.
Okay.
Which between our two ratings, Average is about 2.4. We don't do the halves here anymore.
What?
I know.
That's wild.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
But that means that the Muppets 2011 is just as good as Paddington 2. And depending on who you are, it's better. Like, for
Yes.
me personally, it's better.
Yes, for me as well.
Speaking solely on, like, the quality of the film, though, it's just as good.
Yeah.
If you like Paddington 2, you will probably like the Muppets. And if you like the Muppets, you will probably like Paddington 2.
If you like feel-good stories, then both are perfect.
Both are perfect movies.
Yeah.
Truly. Now, I do want to ask one final question before we wrap up here.
Oh, yeah.
Who's your favorite Muppet?
Okay, actually, I got a good answer. I am a Gonzo shill.
You do seem very Gonzo coded.
I love Gonzo. I've always loved Gonzo. Also, he just has insane drip. What about you?
He's dripped out. My favorite is technically it's two. My favorite is Statler and Waldorf.
Oh, of course.
You can't have them without each other, so they're basically the same guy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They're just haters for
Do you
real.
think they're couples?
Do you think they're dating? Do you
think
think Statler and Waldorf have ever explored each other's bodies?
I think Statler and Waldorf is like a frog and toad type of situation.
where they're just old gay lovers.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
not
yeah.
like officially married because like they were together long enough before gay marriage became legal that
Yeah.
they just like didn't care at
Well,
that point.
it could also be like, it's like they like go to their family and they're like, this is my friend
Yeah.
who lives with me.
Yeah, this is my best friend that has lived with me for the past 40 years. Yeah, Statler and Waldorf, they're just haters.
They
for
are
real,
haters.
and I love that for them.
They're
Like,
preying
no
on
matter
everyone's downfall.
they are praying for everybody's downfall except their own. But with that, we are going to wrap up this episode of Is It Better Than Paddington 2. Thank you all for listening. As always, I am your host, Ben Selsor. Join us in 2 weeks for another pre-recorded episode. We will not be doing a live episode this weekend because it is spring break.
Woo woo.
Our next live episode, I believe, is going to be March the 30th, though, at 6:30 p.m. I am not sure what we'll be talking about yet, but be sure to tune in. And remember, if we are kind and polite, the world will be right. Bye-bye.
It's true. Bye.